Good to see you, Senator. Good to see you. So I know you're in the Senate, you're controlled by Democrats, but Republicans have the House, and they're expelling George Santos. They spent 2 weeks on getting rid of Speaker McCarthy, trying to elect someone else. The American people have a right to be mad. Didn't they elect Republicans to get something done to fight the communists, but instead they're fighting themselves?
Well, Sean, I look at these numbers, and we need to own them. As Congress members, we need to own these numbers and say, look, we can do better than this. I would look at this as like a report card or like a job review. And Congress is failing right now. What do Americans expect out of Congress? Well, they'd like to have their families be safe and secure, which they're not. Look no further than the southern border, or 300 people dying every day from fentanyl poisoning. Next, they would like to have a solid economy. And they understand, I think Joe Biden is understanding that inflation impacts everyone, but it certainly works from the middle out and the bottom up. So inflation is real bad. And lastly, we're drowning in rules and regulations. So until we get those three basics right, we're going to continue to get a bad report card. I'm sort of committed. I'm going to keep working at it.
Senator, you're from a state with a great deal of farmland, and the Department of Agriculture warns that foreigners bought 3.4 million acres of land in 2020 and now own or lease 2% of all of the land in the United States. Citizens of the United Arab Emirates owning nearly 50,000 acres, Venezuelans more than 28,000 acres, Saudi Arabians 20,000 acres, firms tied to Iran, we could go on, 3,000. One firm listing its country as the state of Palestine gobbled up 11,000 acres. I know some states, like the state of Virginia, have tried to stop, say, China from gobbling up more farmland. Senator?
Yes, is there?
Yeah, is there anything is this a concern? Is there anything to be done about this?
There certainly is. Just to remind people that food security is national security, and we just take it for granted that we never have to worry about food, but it's also used for diplomacy as well. And recently in the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Bill, Senator Rounds had an amendment that basically said that the countries of Russia, China, Iran, North Korea cannot own farmland, and additionally would elevate the Secretary of Agriculture to CFIUS, the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States. So I think that would have really helped with the problem. Their states can do things as well, but to our surprise, somehow that was gutted out of the conference and didn't make it to the president's desk. So that's something I'm trying to track down now as well. But there is things we can do, and yes, we should be concerned about it.
I'm also concerned about Bill Gates as well, buying up all the farmland, but that is a different story. I want to move to this, Senator. Biden's chronic mismanagement of the southern border is now causing major disruptions to international commerce. Last week, the Biden administration ordered the closure of two of rail's biggest. That move freight between Texas and Mexico, big deal, halting more than $500 million in trade. So, with this rush to our southern border, and we're not getting rail going back and forth, a huge problem for commerce in the country, probably going to drive up costs. Anything that you can do to make this flow again? And are we getting, this is my perpetual question, are Democrats now starting to see the problem, and will they join with you to find a solution to this mass migration at our southern border?
Well, I guess, first of all, we have to educate this administration that they create one crisis, they try to solve it, and that creates another crisis. So in this instance, we have 10,000, 11,000, 12,000 people crossing our border illegally every day. Yeah. And what the president did is he took some Border Patrol inspectors away from these train depots. Two of these train passes account for about 50% of the train cargo going in and out of Mexico. So he takes some 30 people off that job to go babysit all the other people that are crossing the border illegally, and then shuts it down completely. About $200 million are crossing that border every day in goods. A lot of them is agriculture, but it's also manufacturing goods and components as well. So we're trying to educate the White House that indeed this has sequelae. If you're from an ag state, you feel like this is just one more time that this president is sticking his thumb in your eye. He gave us high interest rates, high fertilizer prices, diesel prices. He doesn't care for biofuels. He doesn't do one major trade agreement, and now he's blowing up our number one, our best trade agreement, the USMCA trade agreement, with Mexico now being our number one partner.
Senator, it's great to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Always.
Merry Christmas, Roger.
Thank you.
Senator Roger Marshall.
Merry Christmas, Sean. David.
Merry Christmas, as we say in Virginia.